Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 25th episode of Kouryer podcast. Today, I'm joined with Jelena Haeschke. She's an illustrator working at Toca Boca studio from Sweden. Now, give us a little introduction on how we got into visual arts and design.
Hi, I'm Jelena. I got into art and design by studying it. But I'm one of those people who always drew. As a child, I was always drawing. So I had a passion for that. And then, I started studying illustration. And I worked a little bit as a freelancer, but then I was approached by somebody working at Toca Boca. And then I started working there.
All right. And were you originally studying art and design, or you were pursuing another career path? Maybe, I don't know, your major in high school or university was something else, and you pivoted to art. So how was the situation for you?
When I finished high school, or the equivalent in Germany, I actually, my major was biotechnology. And I almost started studying that as well because I got accepted. But then I read about that you can study illustration in Hamburg. So I declined studying biotechnology and prepared a portfolio for illustration. And I just did it a few weeks and sent it in. And then I got accepted. I had to do a test and everything. As well. But I got accepted, and then I started studying illustration in Hamburg.
Wow, that's so amazing, because biotechnology is such an in-demand major for people who are majoring in biology in high school. I assume, I'm from Iran, and that's the case in Iran. It's one of the most top sought after, majors, but I assume it's the same in Germany as well. But, you accepted in that. That's just impressive.
It's kind of, maybe it's weird to think about, there's a completely different path I could have gone on. But I decided, no, I don't want to do.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure if you would have went that way, you would have been successful as well. But it's not just about money or success.
Yeah.
It's kind of cliche thing to say, and I kind of hate myself for saying something like that. But it's kind of true. If the thing you're doing every day, your job doesn't fulfill you, what's the point?
Yeah, that's true.
And what is your main branch of design that you're focusing on? And tell us about your experience from the start of it until now.
That's a difficult question for me because I was so unsure while I studied, what I want to do later on. So I tried a little bit of everything. I did books or comics or game design, or not game design, but illustration for games. I tried all kind of techniques, from printing techniques to everything digital. Just to find something that I really like. But I I basically ended up with what I did before as well, just working digital. And drawing just what I really like what inspires me. And that helped me getting the job that I'm working now. I'm an illustrator at Toca Boca, and I can just design lots of amazing little things that hopefully make kids happy. So, yeah.
All right. And of course, we're going to talk a bit about Toca Boca later in the podcast. But next question, how does your design process usually go anytime you want to start working on a design project?
Yeah, it depends on the project, I would say. If I'm drawing for myself, it's a different process than when I'm working, because it depends on your task. But when I work for myself, I try to find something that inspires me, because then it's really easy for me to draw and to get something finished. And with work, it's finding something that inspires you within the theme for your work, if that makes sense. yeah, and then it's just going from sketch to finished piece.
Yeah, I mean that totally makes sense. And now's the part I wanted to actually talk about some general stuff about your works and also, Toca Boca.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone who's listening also Googles like Toca Boca in Google, it says Toca Boca is a Swedish app development studio focused on child-friendly applications for tablets and smartphones. Like, I mean, I'm not going to read the rest, but that's basically the gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us about how you got a job and what's your role exactly in the company.
Mm-hmm. Like I mentioned before, I was approached by somebody working there. They were looking for someone who can start working there for Hair Salon 4. And I was still living in Hamburg at that point. I just got a message on Instagram from somebody writing me that they're looking for someone if I'm interested in joining them. I was like, yeah, maybe. And because at that point I didn't know that they're in Sweden. And I also thought they were looking for somebody who's working freelance and not like a full-time hire. But then as I talked to different people, I understood that there's okay, I'm in a real hiring process here, because I was also not really fully understanding that they're looking at several people. But then and after the second interview that we had, and I completely got oh, okay, they're looking at several people. And I also noticed that I really want a job now, that I was sending them a portfolio and writing them an email, be like, hey, here's my portfolio, please hire me. I really, really like your work. And I did an art test for them as well. And then I got an email that they would like to hire me. But that meant that I would have to go to Sweden. And I had to think about that. But the good thing was, at first they were offering me a 6-month contract. So I could go there and work for them for 6 months and then see how I like it. If I like Stockholm, if I like the company, if I like the people. And then if they're still interested in hiring me full time, that I can still move there. Also because I would have to move my husband as well. He's an illustrator too. So good thing that I could test it out, basically. And then I started working there as an illustrator, and I really, really liked it. It's such a nice company, and they're so open-minded. I think it's also kind of a Swedish culture thing. They're so open for everything. And I had a lot of fun. And then they were offering me a full-time contract. And I had to talk to my husband, of course, if it's okay if we're moving to Sweden. And he's a freelancer, so it wasn't a problem for him. And so we moved here. It's been now almost a year that he moved here as well. And now I'm an artist at Toca Boca.
Awesome. That actually sounds really good.
Yeah.
That everything, every piece of the puzzle just, fell in its right place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations on that. And, this question is actually the question that whenever I ask any guest, they just get confused for the first 10 seconds on how to answer. It's just funny to me. But who are your favorite artists and designers that have inspired you the most? Because it's kind of an overwhelming question.
That's a really nice question, but I'm so bad with names. There's so many that I really, really like.
You can take your time. Don't worry. You can even check your Insta or anything if you want. I mean,
I have to check.
It's completely fine.
I know one artist. He or she, I actually don't know. They are called Yuri Yuki on Instagram, and I have the art book by them, and they're so amazing. I love their work so much. They're super fine, detailed. I think gouache paintings or acrylic paintings, but in this nice style and kind of bizarre. Surrealistic images. That's one person I really like, and it really inspires me.
All right. If there's anyone else you want to, check, maybe we can wait, or we can go to the next question if there's no one else.
I have. There's one more person that I really like, but wait, I have a book by them. I have to grab it real fast, and I can see how.
No problem. You can say the name of the book, and we can search it.
Okay, wait. Okay.
All right.
Oh no, I can't pronounce it. It's a French name. I can look it up. His first name is Ivan, and then I can't. Duque. Oh, it's so bad. No.
Wait. I have an idea. If anyone wants to know the name of the book, they can. Maybe you could take a picture of it and put it on your stories. Then, if anyone wants, they can check your Instagram stories. That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
If you want. So yeah.
The book name is Le Petit Ivan, and his first name is also Ivan, but differently spelled. Yeah, and it's he also makes so nice illustration.
Oh, I found the book. Le Petit Ivan. Yeah. It's by Nicky Orfano.
And then his name, I think Nicky Orfano is maybe the one who wrote it.
Yeah, we can check that later. Yeah. All right, but I think the book has been made by two different people. I think one of them was a writer, and I don't know, maybe, but it says like Nicky Orfano and Yvonne Duke.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, we can, for anyone who's listening and is interested, they can see the book in her Instagram stories later.
Yeah. And I also really, really like Lisk Feng.
Pardon?
Lisk Feng. She's an illustrator as well. She did also a few amazing books, and she just published a book together also with another writer about the coral reefs, and it looks really, really pretty.
You know what? I can't stop but to just get reminded by, like, I saw like the Le Petit one right now, and I also, of course, I mean, before the podcast I research every guest, and of course, judging from your artworks, they really remind me of like artworks from I forgot the guy's name, but basically if you search the game Samorost, it's a game franchise. I think the guy's name was Jacob Troworsky something. He's a game designer famous for Machinarium and Samorost games, and the art style really, like, especially reminds me of Samorost. It's Samorost. And you check it out later if you had time. That's actually pretty. I think you'd like it, to be honest.
Yeah, I know this game. I saw it before. I never played it though.
Oh, Samorost or Machinarium?
Yeah, Samorost.
Oh, interesting. It kind of has, in a sense, like, it reminds me of the theme of like old. It kind of has an old Eastern European fairy tale vibe. I don't know how to explain it, but I think you get the point.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. Actually, I might check it out later because I've never played it, but I just saw the artworks. And we are going to the next question. What do you think about the statement? You have to be good at drawing to be good at illustration.
I mean, being good at drawing. I mean, you could ask a lot of illustrators and ask them, "Are you good at drawing?" They would say no. So I'm guessing no. I would argue that you have to be good at anatomy to stylize, but that's a different statement, I guess.
Interesting, because I think in the pattern I've noticed is that illustrators mostly are good at abstract thought and expression more than like, construction or necessarily like realistic, being able to realistically express volumes and surfaces, but there is a better abstraction. I'm not saying like it's like a black and white thing. There's designers who are good both, but I present this question to illustrators and graphic designers on the show because I want to like break this stigma for people that, for example, when I don't know if you ever been into this kind of spheres, but for example, people who like programming but they don't go for it because they say, oh, I'm bad at math, or I can't learn math. It's kind of the same way when someone wants to go the illustration and graphic design route and they say, oh, I don't know drawing, I'm not good at drawing, it's going to take a lot of time for me to get good at construction and perspective and all that. It's really like a close parallel, in that case. And I just want to reinforce this idea that no, you can even become illustration, a successful graphic designer, by not being like super good at drawing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. And next question: what is the main subject of your artworks, and what made them interesting to you? Actually, oh yes, first you go on, then I'll add something to it. Sorry.
I think the main subject of my art is, like, I really like to draw light and shadows. That sounds maybe weird, but I don't know. I love light. I love drawing a stupid amount of light into my illustrations. And I like to draw cute things, stuff that makes me happy, I think.
But I was gonna mention not just that, but the thing I wanted to actually mention about that was really bold in your artworks was a lot of plantations and trees and vegetations. And where did that come from?
I love plants. Yeah, like I said, I like to draw things that make me happy, and I have a lot of plants. If I could, I would have a lot more. But I have to take care of them, so I want to keep it reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, my mom is kind of the same way. Like, we always had a lot of vases and plants, like everywhere, And yeah, I mean, that's actually pretty good, pretty nice. And of course, I mean, drawing like plants and pieces with a lot of vegetation, kind of. Also, you said you like to draw like light and shadow, at the same time. And kind of because it's kind of a good subject that comes hand with that concept, because for example you can imagine the sunlight hitting their leaves and there's like a lot of shadows, so
yeah,
that kind of goes hand in hand.
I like to combine the like organic shapes of plants with like more geographic shapes of sometimes that light can make. So I think it's a nice contrast.
Oh, that makes sense. What technologies and softwares do you mostly use for your works?
When I draw for myself, I mainly use Procreate and the iPad, because it's really like a comfortable way to draw. You don't have to like turn on your big computer on the weekend. You can just sit on the couch and draw, which is really relaxing. But when I work, I use Photoshop and Illustrator.
All right. And by the way, by Photoshop and Illustrator, you also you don't use a tablet, or just use it mouse?
I use mainly just the trackpad on my laptop, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's not like, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone to do that, because I sit on a really uncomfortable way over my laptop. It's just when I get too much into it and I don't notice what I'm doing with my body anymore. So I would recommend everyone to get a nice desk and a nice mouse. I don't think
Yeah,
I do.
that makes sense. And next question is any advice and tips for a good portfolio and resume for artists?
Like figure out what you want to do and where do you want to go with your portfolio. Like if you want to work as a concept artist, like don't put a lot of graphic design in there. If that makes sense. Like tailor it to where do you want to get hired. And then look at other people who are working in that job and that position that you want, and like look at their work. Sorry, was that too loud in the background?
No, it's fine.
Okay, because my husband is doing something in the kitchen.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Yeah, but that would be my tip.
All right, and actually, just one additional question: which platform do you recommend for a portfolio? Behance, or you think everyone should just get their own personal website? Of course, that's the recommended thing to do. But I mean, not everyone kind of has the necessary resources to pay for like a domain and host and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you think like as at the professional level, just a Behance would work? Behance profile or Dribble? I don't know. There's a lot of
there's also ArtStation, but I never looked at that, but I know a lot of people are using it. I think Behance is fine. I think you can. There are some websites like Cargo Collective where you don't have to pay if you want to build your portfolio there. It's hard for me to say because I also don't. I have Behance and I have like Instagram, which kind of works as my portfolio as well. But it's not I wouldn't say it as a tip, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Twitter and Instagram, I mean, I don't think they're not, I mean, Instagram can be, yes, it can be used for as a portfolio, but I think it's usually better to use it like basically a storage of your works. Like it's not your official actual portfolio, but it's like a stockpile of your works and portfolio. And I think the best advice would be, tell me if I'm wrong, is to just pick the best ones, for that specific job. And just maybe 4 or 5 or 5, 6 pieces and put that on Behance or ArtStation. And I think Behance is usually better for graphic designers and illustrators, but ArtStation is better for concept artists and environment artists and stuff like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, maybe. I don't have that much knowledge of that, so I don't have a good tip.
All right, but you personally use Behance as your portfolio, right?
Yeah, I use Behance. I also have a Cargo Collective website, but it looks stupid. I should update it. That's why I don't share the link at the moment. But I think my Behance is fine.
And just one question on your resume: do you also put a clickable link to your Behance as well, or should anyone do that?
If you have work there that you're proud of and you want to show, then put that in.
Oh, all right. Interesting. And what are you working on right now that you can tell us about? What kind? I mean, of course, if there's NDA involved that you can't talk about, sure. I mean, we can skip that. But I mean, what kind of project is it? Is it like advertisement? Is it an app development? Is it user interface?
I can't talk too much about it, but I'm working on content that's getting released for the games.
All right, completely understandable.
But I'm working directly on the game. So I'm not in marketing or anything.
Awesome. Well, good luck, and definitely let us know later if anything is going to be released that you worked on. And the next question is, what area beside the area you're working on right now would you be interested to explore and learn in the future? Well, I mean, let me reiterate my question in a different way. Imagine right now you got a text message and it said, hey, you got $1 million, added to your bank account, and which of course that will lead to you you wouldn't have to worry about bills and a lot of stuff, and so basically you have a lot of free time because of that, you know. And what skill or, you know, craft would you pursue in that extra free time that you have and you can enjoy, you know?
Yeah. I would really like to, like, I learned a little bit of 3D, and I really like 3D, but I would definitely like go more into that. And I would really like to design my own little toys. And make a toy series, and also because I think packaging design is also really fun. So I would like to like design the full thing, like a collection of toys with the packaging and everything. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah, that does sound pretty fun. And actually, yeah, 3D is pretty good for that, because right now, I mean, even 10 years ago, I couldn't say this, but now I can, you know. Right now, I mean, with the advent of like the advanced of 3D printers, I mean, that could be easily done. I mean, with just a little bit of money, you can make your prototype toys with the 3D printer, and you can put it on Kickstarter maybe, and, you know, share it around. And I'm gonna share it around if you do that as well.
Good to know.
Yes, and I mean, it's a completely possible dream. I mean, this is actually one of my favorite questions in every episode, because it shows like one of the true sides of, you know, every artist that comes on, and you kind of showed us one of your passions, you know, making toys. And I honestly think, I mean, of course, I'm not aware of everything, but I'm sure in a couple of years you definitely can manage a plan to, you know, execute it. Like, I mean, it's completely doable even right now, based off the equipment and, you know, the technology, where technology is. And of course, I mean, in the future it's going to get more faster and cheaper, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. There's like I watched a lot of videos about 3D printers, and even they're so much better than just a few years ago. You can get some for like kind of pretty cheap. And
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, even sometimes a lot of people right now, when they're making, you know, in university, for example, even in universities, they're doing projects, you know, for example, they need a specific piece that's not available on the market. They just design it quickly in the program and they just print it,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, that's going to be really interesting in the future to see where that leads. And with everything that's been said and done, to conclude what we discuss, could you give us a roadmap for someone who is zero in visual arts and design and wants to get to the place you are in terms of skill set, like you, when it comes to illustration, like every step, like where to start, best tools, software courses, anything? Could you give us a roadmap?
I can try. Like when I started, like at the very beginning, I mean, I always liked to draw as a child, so I always had the passion there to draw really good. So I think like you have to really want it to get good at it. And then I started pretty early drawing digital because I got a graphic, like a tablet as a present from my dad. So I started when I was around 13 to draw digital, which is not that crazy now, but like I'm a little bit older, so it was crazy when I started. And yeah, and then I just continued drawing until I started studying, and then I like got really into the craft, like learning about all different techniques. And I feel like they're my like. It's hard to answer that for me because I felt like during my studies it wasn't a straight line. It was like, okay, I try everything here and there and like see where it goes, and then just at the end of my studies, when I finished with my bachelor, then I was like, okay, I'm designing a game, and then I ended up kind of where I want to go. Then also like helped me getting the job now that I have.
All right. So what I
Yeah, sorry,
think,
it's a really hard question.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. Like, but I'm getting the answer that I want, so it's completely fine. I mean, basically, what I'm getting is that basically your growth as an artist was actually really fluid and organic, and there was no force. And because here's the thing, a lot of people, not that force is bad necessarily when it comes to learning and wanting something. But, for example, for a lot of people, they had to just I don't know how to explain. They had to work hard for it, But for you, because it was like a passion and you did it since we were kids, so you were already good at, in a sense. So it was kind of the beginning was like too easy for you to even notice. So that's why I think you're kind of right now don't know how to communicate that.
Yeah, it's also hard for me because I never really know where I want to end up. Like I wasn't sure which kind of industry I want to join. And it more or so less just happened to me that I was really lucky that I found a company that wants to hire me and like reached out to me, which I think is really like it's great, but it's nothing that you can just hope for that happens.
Oh yeah, of course.
That makes sense.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think because your genre of work was pretty niche, and specific, and I think that's one of the really attractive things to studios and companies,
Yeah.
And the stories I hear, for example, when people say, "Oh, I didn't contact this studio, they did," it's usually those type of artists are really niche and good. They're really good at a certain niche,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a tip that I made some notes beforehand, and the one thing I wrote down was like just draw what you really like to draw, because if it happens that somebody reach out to you, then you can draw what you really like to draw.
Yes, exactly. Oh my god, that was such a good line. And so yeah, just draw what you like, just do what you like, and things will just come in your way if you don't just give up at it. Just be consistent in that, and you never know.
We're working in a field where it's such a dream job. Like we choose to use our passion as our jobs, so it should be something that really makes you happy. If you hate what you draw all the time, then you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing. Like let me give you an example. I mean, by the way, I got all the answers I want from the previous question, so now we're just free talking. Like you see, for example, a lot of my I had a friend that said, "Oh my God, something like front end development is like so hot right now. I mean, if you learn it, you're definitely gonna get a job, and it's gonna be good paying and everything." He was pretty hyped, and I was like, "Oh, cool, good for you, go for it." But he didn't go for it because he actually liked it in the beginning. Like he was passionate in the beginning. He liked it. It seemed hot to him, that the front end development, because it would give him a stability, it would give him a job. And I'm not saying that's a bad motivator to pursue something. That's not at all. But the truth is, even if you try your best and try your hardest and try to get good at it, but you're gonna have to compete with people who do it for fun. They are like crazy people in every field that they just do what they love, do what you want to do. But the thing that you're forcing yourself to learn and do, they do it for fun. They don't force themselves. Then you're gonna have to compete with that, and it's gonna be hard. So, but if you focus on something that you actually love, you're gonna be on top of your game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's like that with the whole industry I work in. We're producing apps for kids, and it's something that you should really have fun doing. Because if you don't, then the product is not going to be good as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not having fun with the product, how else do you expect the user is gonna like it? Yeah, I mean, that totally makes sense. And well, with that out of the way, we've come to the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can anyone contact you if they had any questions or just wanted to get in contact?
The easiest is just writing me on Instagram.
All right, I'm gonna write, of course, your ID and the caption, and of course, you're gonna get tagged in the post, so anyone can easily access that. And well, I think that's it. Thank you for joining us, and goodbye, everyone. See you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.